Hello everyone, it's James from Keeping It Anime, and today we're talking episode 4 of the We Never Learn anime series, entitled What She Wants from a Genius is X. And 3 words basically come to mind that could kind of fit as the title of this episode, and those 3 words are wait, rivals, and forgetfulness. Because this episode is split up into 3 sections. And I said in my last review that splitting it up into 2 and kind of focusing on 2 stories in one half-an-hour episode might seem a bit rushed. And I understand from the manga point of view they've got a lot to cover. And well, this one, it worked okay, but they could have done without the Tomoko bit at the end. And maybe put that in later on. But, you know, they did it and you know what, it somehow worked and it wasn't too bad. So I'll start off at the beginning. So at the beginning, we start off with a Fumino type of sort of mini arc type of scene. And right off the bat, it started off a bit uncomfortable because they were showing her in the shower. And yes, all the lewd parts were covered up, apart from her backside. And the whole gimmick behind this was that she put on weight. And we were being shown that. And basically, it kind of made me feel a bit awkward while watching it at the start. Because you know what? They're probably, 16? And I don't know. It felt a bit weird. But anyway, she's put on weight since starting tutoring under Yuiga. And she is kind of oblivious to the reason as to why. And when she finds out that, you know, the reason is she snacks too much during meals, being the case because Tomoko and Rizu basically all bring in their own snacks and they all share it and she eats loads of it. We see her trying desperately not to eat any. To the point where Yuiga is concerned because she's not concentrating and focusing on her own studies, so he tries to shove a sweet down her throat. Which leads to another bit of an awkward scene. But this is an awkward scene because it's another case where Yuiga is going beyond and doing what a teacher should not be doing to his students. And that is touching Furuhashi, you know, Fumino's, basically chest and basically deciding whether or not she's fat because she feels like she is and, you know, he doesn't believe it. So Yuiga's awkwardly, panically and kind of embarrassingly touching her chest, her stomach even, and she says, so what's the verdict? You know, what's it like? And he replies with, dangerous. Which is obviously going to be misconstrued and seen in a different light than what it should be. Obviously, Yuiga tries to backtrack and basically explain what he meant by the word dangerous, and we actually find out the reason why she's still putting on weight, even though she's been neglecting the snacks that everyone's bringing in, is because when she studies at night, she binge eats before studying, and her excuse is her brain uses up the sugar, so it should be okay. Yuiga puts her on a strict diet, and that's the end of it. One tiny thing I did kind of have a problem with as well with this little bit was Yuiga's meant to be from a poor family, and I know it was done in comedy, so it's not that big of an issue. But he brings in a wedding cake, of all things. Like, it pretty much is a 3-layered wedding cake. And he brings that in and says that his sister was at it again and made too much. Like, how does she make too much? And where does she get the ingredients to do that? This is further emphasized because at the end of the episode, Yuiga walks in to his house and they're making fresh seaweed porridge. And the leaves are something that Yuiga's brother and sisters have found while being outside. So, you know, just that little tiny detail, but oh well. Next, we get introduced to a new character in Sekijo. Now, looking at her design, it's very true to the manga, and for some reason, the hair colour kind of threw me off. I don't know why, but I thought the hairstyle would be kind of a bit darker, like a dark purple or maybe a slightly darker red. But it's very much the same as Rizu's hairstyle. And this character, she claims to be Rizu's rival because she's always come in second place, just behind Rizu in science, and she can't stand the fact that Rizu is going off on another career path. She's leaving science behind and going after, what she's studying. And she doesn't like it, so she follows Rizu and basically says, you know what, you're only doing this with Yuiga because you like him. That's her understanding of the situation. So while they're at the udon shop and Rizu studying, Yuiga's helping her, Sekijo tries to flirt with Yuiga to try and get Rizu to spark a reaction. Okay, fine. Nothing wrong so far. And it was actually quite funny because we have Yuiga thinking that he's popular. He starts thinking and panicking that he's actually popular with the ladies because he's never been in his life before. And it's immediately shut down by Sekijo saying that she's only just like playing around. Which obviously ends up with both of them being kicked out for making too much noise. And this scene, you could probably call it a throwaway scene if it wasn't for the end of this little sort of story thing. Because we actually see that Rizu does have a bit of love emotions towards Yuiga. Like she's showing some affection towards him because we see her blush at the end, like we've seen her blush many times before with Yuiga. But while Sekijo is flirting with Yuiga in the restaurant, Sekijo is always commenting the fact that Rizu is just writing away without stopping. And we find out that she's writing prime numbers down at the end. So we kind of have that hint that Sekijo wasn't 100% wrong, and she even kind of thinks that to herself. So that was really nice, and if you know by reading the manga what's going to happen in the next episode, and if you're an anime only watcher, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it. What I'm going to say is that if you're a fan of Rizu, and you want her to get Yuiga at the end, well, we don't know if she will, but something good and something juicy is going to happen next week. And then we go on to the kind of forgetful part. So we've had the wait part, we've had the rival in Sekijo being introduced and the whole sort of affection of feelings towards Yuiga with Rizu, and now we have the forgetfulness. Tomoko. Yep, you probably guessed it as soon as I said forgetfulness, but her story is she forgets the bra that she's meant to wear, and it's sports day. And she's all flustered and embarrassed, and she thinks she can avoid Yuiga, who happens to be on the opposite team in the basketball game that they're playing. And it's this whole awkward situation where she's very conscious of whether or not he'll notice and anyone else would notice, so she's playing badly. And then we have the classic kind of misinterpretation from Tomoko when Yuiga's asking if she's okay. Because Yuiga goes, "Are you okay? You seem a bit off. You're always active when it comes to sport." And then when she says she's fine, he's like, "Okay, see ya." But in her mind, he asks her if she's okay. He replies with, "Yes, she's fine." And he turns around and says, "Okay, that's great. I love you." And she has a spark lit up inside of her, and she wants to go out and absolutely destroy the other team in the second half of this game so she can win. Ends with an embarrassing scene of her landing on Yuiga at the end with a chest all over him, over his face, and he says, "Oh, my sister does that as well sometimes." And then if you stick after the credits, you actually see a scene of Yuiga actually walking up to his sister saying, "Huh, you're wearing one today," and getting slapped. Again, something that's a little bit kind of risky in my personal opinion, because it's not something a brother would normally do with a sister. But you know what? It was done for comedy, so you can't be too upset by it. If you're upset by that type of comedy, then I would recommend that you stop watching this show altogether, really. And yeah, so that was really the episode. There's quite a bit of, like I said, quite a lot that we had put into one episode. And I would say the title that was obviously the What She Wants from a Genius is X got a bit lost in the episode. And while doing this review, I was kind of thinking, what was that title entailing? And the only thing I can really put my finger on as to what that would be Sekijo. Sekijo is the person, so Sekijo would be she. So what Sekijo wants from Genius, which is being Rizu, is, and then there's obviously that storyline. So that was basically the main focus of this episode. The Furuhashi bit and the Tomoko bit was just comic relief that was in the middle. And, well, the beginning and the end, the main thing was in the middle. You know what I mean. So, that's all I can really get from the title being the story. But overall, it was a fun, enjoyable episode, and I definitely did laugh quite a lot in it. Animation was nice. Sekijo's voice actress was spot on. I actually really enjoyed it. It matched her character great. And the design is pretty cool, even with the lab coat. I do like that, and I'm looking forward to the interactions that she's going to bring later on in the series. So overall, I really did enjoy this episode. I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10. It was really enjoyable, but I wish they kind of focused more on what they were meant to focus on, and then kind of had the comedy for a different episode. But if they're going to have these type of episodes where they've got one bit of focus with other comedy in the middle on the other girls, but then they have a couple more episodes later on, like this next episode, that's going to be solely focused on one specific thing and one storyline, then I'll be okay with that. But we'll have to see what future episodes bring. So, that's going to wrap it up for this review. A solid episode. Like I said, I really did enjoy it. If you want to laugh, make sure you go and watch it, because, you know what? It is fun, and at the end of the day, it lightened up my day personally. So, if you like this review, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, so you never miss a video from me, and I hope you all have an amazing day wherever you are, and keep it anime.